So here's a confession. I've got a bit of a reading problem.
You motherfuckers love it. You're making us do this.
Seriously, I used to read like well over 100 books every single year, which is just a lot of books.
This is not how I live. This is not how I organize my
who
books.
arranges their books like this?
Let me just pull them out on a random Wednesday, put them on this table that I never sit at. I definitely don't read here.
Anything for the click, though, literally.
And they will.
Let's kick it off with lesson number 1. Money is a game. Now, if you grew up in a family like mine, we didn't really talk about money. It wasn't necessarily taboo, but it just wasn't something that came up in the course of normal day-to-day conversation. And I find it interesting that our society simultaneously puts people who have money up on a pedestal, but then also demonizes the process of getting money by saying things like, money is the root of all evil, or people that care about money are selfish and greedy. Now, growing up with these conflicting perspectives of money means that most of us simultaneously wish we had more money, but also feel weird and guilty and dirty talking about it with friends or family or strangers or just whoever will listen to us. As a result, the majority of us suffer in silence, preferring to not ask a stupid question and look like an idiot or come across as a greedy capitalist pig obsessed with getting rich. And it's this mindset that holds most people back from ever building meaningful wealth. But here's an interesting observation. The people who are best at making money are the ones who understand it's not good or bad. It's nothing more than a game. Now, like it or not, we all have to play this game. You need money to survive in this world, so you can't opt out. The only thing that you get to decide is how you're going to play the game. Now, most people who grew up in a family like mine opt for the losing strategy of just sticking their heads in the sand and pretending like none of it really matters, or complaining that the game is rigged so they don't have to try. Listen, I'm not saying we're all born with equal opportunity, because we're not. Some people are dealt some pretty crappy hands at birth, while others are just gifted pocket aces. That's the reality of life. But here's the thing. The only thing you can control is how well you play the hands you're dealt. And the quality of your play is dictated by how well you know the rules and how well you execute your strategy. Which leads us to the second lesson I learned reading hundreds of books on money. Before you can worry about winning the game, you have to understand the rules of money. I think the thing that holds most people back from even trying to understand the rules of money is they have this limiting belief that money is complicated. And if this is you, just know this, it's not your fault for thinking this way. See, there's a lot of money tied up on Wall Street and in the financial industry at large, designed to make the whole system seem overwhelming, confusing, and just brutally complicated. And why do they do this? Well, to understand why anybody does anything in life, you just need to understand the incentives. And in this case, you just follow the money. Who stands to make the most when you feel like you can't take control of your financial future? That's right, stockbrokers, financial advisors, even the banks who are happy to take your deposits and give you a paltry 1% to 2% interest rates on your savings, while they turn around and use that same money to buy, let's say, treasury bonds yielding them 4%. So just like that, for taking literally no additional risk, because treasury bonds are backed by the US government and just about as safe an investment as you can get, they make twice as much money than you do with your own money. It's crazy, huh? Almost seems unfair, right? But it's not. They're playing completely within the rules, which you could be too if you just knew the rules better. Now, here's the part I really want you to wrap your head around. Understanding how money works is not complicated. It's simply been made to look that way by people who stand to benefit from your ignorance. So let that sink in, and then go ahead and get frustrated, and then make a decision to turn the table simply by committing to learning the rules of the money game. Now, there are a bunch of rules that we could dive into here, but here are 3 that I think are perhaps the most important. If you get your head wrapped around these, you're probably going to be doing all right. First, money goes to whoever pays it the most attention. My financial life started to rapidly change for the better once I started implementing 2 practices. First, a budget, which I know isn't sexy, but it's important because the budget is your game plan, and without one, you're just flying blind. The second thing is a daily financial audit. Now, this one's interesting because in my experience, people who do not have large sums of money are awfully confused about what people who do have large sums of money do or do not do with that money. See, I was watching a video the other day and the guy was sharing how to get rich on a low salary, which if you're interested, I actually did a video on the exact same topic, but instead of giving the same old advice that you hear from everybody about how you can become a millionaire in 40 years, I actually laid out the exact blueprint that I followed to go from minimum wage to millionaire in 3 years. And I'll drop a link for that in the description below so you can check it out. Okay, back to this guy who's given the advice. He said something well-intentioned, but completely wrong. He said, do you think that wealthy people have Excel spreadsheets where they record, on this June 23rd, I bought 2 chicken Popeye sandwiches for $10.51? No, they don't. Okay, so actually, yeah, a lot of them do. Maybe not exactly like this, but I got a good chuckle out of this because I've done this literally every single day for the past decade. Seriously, here's my journal. See, if money is a game, then how much you've got in the bank account is a score. And I literally can't think of any game where you don't know what the score is at all times. I mean, the score is an important piece of information telling you how you're doing. Like, is the game plan actually working or do we need to pivot? In my experience, the people who keep their finger tightest on the pulse of their financial situation are the most well off. So the first thing I recommend to people coming to me asking for financial advice is to simply start tracking your money and your spending habits every single day. If you do this every day for the next year, I think you'll be amazed to see how quickly your score starts to improve, because the truth is, money goes to whoever pays it the most attention. All right, rule number 2. Hoarders generally do not become wealthy. Now, this might sound crazy, but in my experience, one of the easiest ways to tell how well a person is playing the money game is based on how they talk about it. If they see it as a finite, limited resource that's hard to get, then I can almost guarantee they are poor. If, however, they see money as an infinitely abundant resource that's easy to get with the right combination of strategy, systems, and skills, then they're probably dominating the money game. Now, this might seem like an inconsequential difference, but I assure you, it's not. See, when you view money as a limited resource, then you start to see everybody else as competition, because if they get the money first, then there's less for you. Ultimately, this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because you try to hoard all your money, your time, your resources, your knowledge, because you're afraid others are going to take what is yours. But here's the reality. There is plenty of money to go around. We can literally all be wealthy. Now, here's something you maybe never considered. Money is only valuable where other people are concerned. So think about it. If it's just you out in the wilderness with the bunnies and the bears, money has no value. But if there's other people involved, then suddenly money is a medium of exchange, a store of value, and a unit of account. It's pretty useful, right? So here's the moral of the story. It is very difficult to win the money game if you view everybody else as the enemy. And this is why, in my experience, the wealthiest people are some of the most giving and open with their time, their knowledge, and their resources. Case in point. Why am I here right now making this video? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but part of it is that at some level, I think there's a chance you could take this information and use it to build something amazing and hopefully win your own money game. Then maybe you'll come to me in the future with an incredible opportunity to work together on some really cool project, and next thing you know, boom, we're both playing the money game at a higher level. Now, on the other hand, if you view other people as potential partners that you can collectively build something bigger and better together, the sky's the limit to the amount of money you can amass. So don't see other people as the competition. See them as potential partners that you can collectively build something bigger and better together. All right, so now here's the third rule of money I want to share with you. And again, these are not the only rules, nor are they perhaps even the most important, but they are not super obvious to most people, and they've served me incredibly well, so I'm hoping they can do the same for you. All right, rule number 3. You can only do 3 things with money. You can spend it, you can save it, or you can invest it. Now, this is probably pretty obvious now that it's been said, but chances are you've never really stopped to consider this basic yet fundamental truth of money. Most people go through life losing the money game because they either spend too much, they save too much, or they invest it in the wrong things. Now, it's pretty obvious why spending too much and investing in the wrong things are probably not going to help you win the money game, right? But it might surprise you to hear that perhaps the reason you're losing the money game is because you're saving too much. See, from what I've learned having read all these books is that it's incredibly difficult to save your way to massive wealth. And here's the reason. It's a pesky little thing called inflation. Now, I'm not going to go into the weeds on inflation here, but for the purposes of this video, just know that things tend to get more expensive over time. And the result is that the buying power of your money only gets weaker. So $1 today is worth more than that same dollar is going to be worth in 10 years from now. And what this really means is that saving is an illusion. It's actually a form of spending. That is, you're paying the cost of inflation for the relative safety and security of having your money remain liquid and accessible. So when we really boil it down, you can actually only do 2 things with your money. You can spend it, or you can invest it. Now, when we look at money through this lens, it becomes pretty obvious which path is going to lead us to our goal of winning the money game, right? I mean, you can't spend your way to wealth. Okay, so I recently went way more in depth on this particular topic in a previous video called How to Become a Millionaire on a Low Salary. I'm going to drop a link for that in the description so you can check it out right after you finish this video. But if you're at all interested in the step-by-step strategy to becoming a millionaire within the next 5 years, then I highly recommend you check out that video. In the meantime, let's unpack the third lesson I've learned from reading over 100 books on money. It's this: there are literally hundreds of strategies for winning the money game, but this might just be the best. Simply put, okay, there is no one-size-fits-all answer. Warren Buffett's journey to becoming the richest man in the world was completely different from Jeff Bezos, who took a different route from Elon Musk. Anybody telling you this is the way to get rich is simply telling you the way they got rich, and that does not necessarily mean it's going to work for you. Here's an important note. What they're teaching could be a fantastic strategy that simply won't work for you in your unique circumstances and context. And I think this often gets missed, even by myself, when I'm talking about things that have worked for me that I feel confident can work for the majority of people out there. But the truth is, what I'm teaching you and what countless other gurus are teaching you has to be filtered through the lens of your unique life circumstances, your skills, your resources, and not to mention your wants and desires. So I want you to keep that in mind as you move through your wealth building journey, that there is no one path to the top of the mountain. Some are going to be easier than others, not to mention some paths are just going to be easier for me than they were for you, or vice versa. So just don't get too caught up in the comparison game of seeing what's worked for other people and then beating yourself up because it's not working for you. But with that said, I have noticed patterns around wealth creation strategies from reading all these books and talking to other successful people. And it seems to me that there are certain strategies for winning the money game that have higher probabilities of success than others. Your time and energy then is probably best spent focusing on learning those strategies. In particular, the strategy that worked for me, and I've seen it work more than any other in the lives of the successful people that I personally know, it's this. You build a cash generating machine and then pour the proceeds into cash generating assets. And this is what led me to my personal investment strategy, which is to build a business and invest in real estate. Now, there's a lot of reasons why this is such a powerful and proven strategy for winning the money game. First, if you build the right business with the right form of leverage, then there's no limit to how much you can make. And then if you take that money and pour it into quality physical assets, like real estate, that generally become more valuable over time and produce monthly cash flow, then you can quickly start moving your income into a far more tax advantaged position. And this is one of those lessons I learned from reading all of these books. It's this: it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. Now think about that. Right now, if you're working a W-2, you're trading your time for money. And this is considered active income, and you're gonna pay a ton in taxes. In fact, if you make like $55,000 a year, then you're gonna pay around 22% in taxes. So right there, $12,000 is just whoof, gone. And it only gets worse as you start making more and more money. So what are you to do? Well, you start mimicking the strategies of those who are ahead of you in the money game. Specifically, you start taking that active income you're being taxed so heavily on, and you use it to invest in assets. In particular, real estate, because this sector has some of the best tax treatments around. Now, the money that's being generated by these physical assets is considered passive income or capital gains, which gets taxed way less. As a result, your money is out there working harder for you than you worked for it. And this might seem like an incredibly basic strategy, but as they say, fundamentals win championships. If you execute this strategy over a long enough time period, it's seriously hard to lose the money game. Now, if you want to learn more about building businesses, then I encourage you to check out our weekly newsletter called The Hyper-Focused Entrepreneur. I'll drop a link for that in the description below. And on the real estate side, check out our other channel, Multifamily Investing Made Simple, which has over 350 episodes and will teach you everything that you need to know from being beginner all the way up to advanced. All right, guys, so those are just 3 of the lessons that I've learned from reading hundreds of books on money. Now, there are countless other lessons, but if you peel them all back and you just focus on treating money like it's a game, you learn the rules, and then you master the strategies, you're going to do pretty well for yourself. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for checking out the video. I have nothing to pitch you this time. I just wanted to say thank you for being here. I appreciate it truly. And I can't wait to see you in the next episode. But until then, stay hyper-focused, my friend.